your fave, Ahriel Nari, and today I will be talking to you about the 5 stages of locks. I just want this video to help those of you who are just starting out your lock journey so you can kind of get an idea of what's about to happen and you don't freak out and feel like you're just a mess and you need to take out your locks tonight. Yeah, don't stress. I'm here for you. Ahriel Nari cares if nobody else does. All right, so yeah, let's just get into it. Okay, so I guess technically the very first stage would be your loose hair. And for those of you who don't know, loose hair is just hair that's not locked. Plain and simple. That's it. The first stage for real of lockdom though is your starter locks, aka your baby locks. This is when you get your locks first installed. Like I'm talking about day one. And you can get your locks installed using different methods. You can do 2-strand twists, braiding, comb coils, which is how I started my hair. You can do back combing, interlocking. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of ways that you can use to start your locks. There's differences between them, and each one has its positives and negatives, but they all get you the same results in the end. If you want, I can do a video that goes more into depth on the different starting methods. Just let me know in the comments. All right, back on track. Okay. So during this starter lock stage, your locks are going to look very neat, okay? Do not get used to this, okay? It's almost uncharacteristically neat. Oh, and also your parts are like clean, crisp, and defined. I mean, they're practically in HD. Oh, just a side note, your parts when you get your locks first started are super important because that sets the stage for the rest of your lock journey. So if you start off with parts that are messed up, there's no hope. It's gonna cause you a headache down the line. So when you first get your lock started, make sure you or whoever is doing it for you have your parts very clearly defined. All right, so you got your locks installed. So now you're wondering, okay, what's next? The next stage is budding or sprouting. To me, this is like my favorite stage. Like this is when I was like so excited. You looking at your hair every day. Wait, okay, let me back up. So budding is when your hair actually starts to lock. And basically what a bud is like a knot that forms in your lock. And you can tell that you have a bud because it'll be like a bump that's in your lock. And it has almost like a different texture. It's not as like smooth as everything else is. And it's like frizzy too. This is a good thing, all right? I see so many people when they first start out their locks like, oh my gosh, there's this one part in my lock that's frizzy, it's bumpy, it's not really like the rest. They want to comb it out, and I'm like, no, do not comb it out. That's what you want to happen. Buds are good, people. Buds are good. Buds are your friend. As I was saying, though, you do not want to comb out any buds because the bud, honestly, is like the core of your lock. This is where your hairs are actually starting to intertwine. And so you want to make sure that you're not going to disturb that process because if you do, that's just going to set you back on your lock journey and you're just going to have to start all over again. And we don't want that. Once you notice your first bud, you're going to start seeing that buds are popping up on each lock, which is good. You want that to happen. From there, it's like the buds almost like spread, meaning that from that core that the bud is, it intertwines more and more hair to it. And that's what's referred to as sprouting. The bud kind of sprouts like a plant along the length of the entire lock. I'm just going to keep it real with you. Your locks are going to start getting frizzy and puffy. But don't freak out. like I said, this is what you want. Your hair is intertwining, so it's not going to keep that same smooth appearance that you had when you first started your locks. One thing that is super, super important, actually, matter of fact, it's crucial during this budding stage, is that you have to maintain your parts. All right, at this point, your hair isn't exactly trained as to what it's supposed to do. So it needs guidance. And your parts are going to do whatever they want at this point. So just make sure that you are staying on top of your parts. They will kind of get messy and you might lose them, but you just got to keep on redefining them every time you get your hair done. Me personally, when I was at that stage, I was getting my hair retwisted every 3 to 4 weeks, which seemed to be okay. It didn't really cause me any problems, but you just got to do what's best for you. On average, the budding stage can last from like 3 months to 9 months. Disclaimer, these are just averages I'm giving you. It's not unheard of for the budding stage to last like 1 month, and it's not unheard of for the budding stage to last a whole year. These are just rough estimates I'm giving you to kind of just give you a gauge to help you out. All right. So do not freak out if it's been 9 months and you're not progressing or whatever. It's perfectly okay. Everybody has a different lock journey, and you just got to keep that in mind. Like, your lock journey is not going to be like the next person's lock journey. All right, next stage. So you got your buds. They've completely sprouted from root to tip. What's next? Next is the teenager phase. Whew. Okay, I'm going to explain why I act like that in a second. Okay, so you know you've reached the teenager stage when your locks are no longer unraveling for the most part. Like, even when you go into the shower and just wash your hair normally, there's no unraveling. Also, your hair is finally starting to look like actual locks. People will finally be like, oh, you locking your hair? Yes, I've been locking my hair for like the past 6 months. But people will actually start noticing it now. Also, your hair feels loosely intertwined. Like, as opposed to when your hair is older, it feels very dense. When you're at the teenage phase, your locks feel loosely meshed together, but they're still intertwined enough for them not to unravel. What's happening during the teenage phase is that your locks are actually condensing on themselves. So during the bud and sprouting phase, your hair started to intertwine. During the teenage phase, your hair is intertwining even more. So with that being said, shrinkage is going to be your entire life. It's going to come to a point where you feel like your hair is not even growing. Because your hair is condensing on itself, you'll also see that your locks fatten up, like they get plumper. I feel like now would be a good time to just tell you guys that I do have another video that's my lock journey, so you can actually see pictures of all of this. Yeah, that might help. So yeah, I have the link down in the description box for you to go check out. You know what? I'm not even going to sit here and act like the teenager phase is just all rainbows and giggles, because it's not. Like, honestly, this is pretty much the infamous ugly stage. You know what I mean? Like, this time period separates who's real from who's not. And it honestly tests your commitment to having locks. I'm just going to tell you guys, your hair can be rather wild during the teenage phase. Like, your locks do whatever they want. And this is why it's called the teenager phase. And I don't mean to like scare you guys or anything. I'm just trying to be completely honest and transparent so you have an accurate idea of what's going to happen. The teenage phase is like the formative time for your locks. So you'll see your locks going through a lot of different changes. Another change that you'll see is that your locks will stop like sticking straight out, and they'll actually start to lay down like what you want. So that's pretty exciting. I know what you're thinking now, like how long is this supposed to last? The teenage phase actually lasts, again, this is an average, from 6 months to 18 months. So like I said, just know that it won't last forever, and if you just make it through this, you'll be good. Okay, so you finally made it through your teenager phase, and now you're asking what's next. Well, next is the adult phase or the mature phase. This is the phase that you probably had in mind when you first started getting locks. So you finally made it. Congratulations. At this point, your hair is completely meshed. So your locks now are actually dense. Also, your hair has finally stopped shrinking. So you're actually noticing your hair growing, and you are actually starting to get a little hang time. Also, when your locks are mature, most of your locks at the ends are completely sealed, as opposed to having that wispiness. Another thing I wanted to mention is that most times the thickness of your locks comes down a little bit, just because in those previous stages the locks weren't completely condensed. So when your locks are younger, they can look puffier and plumper than what they're actually going to be when they're mature. So I just wanted to point that out. One of the perks of having mature locks is that you don't have to work as hard at maintaining your parts. Meaning you don't have to retwist as often, because your new growth pretty much takes care of itself. At a certain point, the new growth at your roots just kind of automatically feeds itself into the lock. So that's a perk. And the last stage is beyond maturity, aka the rooted stage. This is like how loose hair sheds itself. After a while, and I'm talking about like after years, some of your locks might start to thin and break off at the ends. This is a normal part of the hair cycle. So what you can do to kind of prevent it and keep it at bay is just to keep a close eye on your ends and kind of monitor them for any weakness, and to get regular trims. And that should pretty much keep it under control. So that just about wraps it up. I hope you were able to take something away from this video. If not, then I at least hope you enjoyed spending time with me. I'll be releasing my next video next week, so stay tuned for that. Oh, and if you haven't already liked my video and subscribed to my channel, please like and subscribe to my channel. That would mean the world to me. Yeah, thanks for your time and attention. Peace.